So thank you very much for joining us today. As I mentioned, my name is Matt DeBona, and I'm with SmartBridge. And I've got Joanne Melitas with me from Datalytics Technologies. And today we're going to be talking about how to quickly join your BI solution to JD Edwards using Datalytics RapidDecision Enterprise Data Warehouse. So just some real quick housekeeping. If you have questions, there's a chat box, so feel free to submit questions to us. We're actually going to take some time towards the end of today's discussion to cover some of those questions. And I guess at this point, let's get into the presentation itself. Joanne, could you advance the slide, please? So the reason you all are here is because you probably have folks within your business that are having challenges with the way that they report. You know, I don't know that this necessarily looks like anybody's desk these days, but the point is that there's definitely some challenges with providing people the visibility they need, and more so within you know, getting data out of an ERP in the first place. So I just want to go through some of those common reporting challenges. You know, it's difficult to get information out, number one, but to get it out in a timely fashion and have that data be fresh is also a challenge. Once you have access to the data, a lot of times, especially with ERP data, we find that there's a lot of manual manipulation that's required to really put that data into a structure that actually turns it into information that people can drive decisions on. And so, you know, a lot of manual effort with accessing and compiling, consolidating all of this reporting data. And so whenever you have that type of manual intervention, it always introduces the potential for human error. And so, you know, the old adage of garbage in, garbage out is very true in this space, in that if you're manhandling the data, you can mess it up. And so with bogus data, you now are you know, putting information in people's hands that they're going to make maybe the wrong decision on, and they're only going to do that once or twice before they realize, well, shoot, this information is kind of suspect, so they have less confidence in the information that's actually coming out. So let's say you do provide information to somebody. It may or may not be in a structure or a format that allows them to look at things the way that they want to see it. If they want to filter by business unit, or if they want to look at a particular GL account, if the data isn't structured in a way that allows them to do the slicing and dicing how they see fit, the information really has a lot less utility for them. And then another, I guess, aspect of BI as you kind of move from sort of the rear view mirror into really looking out the windshield and trying to predict and forecast how things are going to perform. You know, there's just a demand coming from all different functional areas within the business for predictive analytics. And again, this requires information that is, you know, locked inside of your ERP, but it requires really IT and others to be able to provide access to the business and then be able to model information properly. And to do that, you really need it in a high quality and well thought out structure. And so I just kind of want to lay out the problem on the table here today, but to really take us through another perspective and you know, really why Datalytics and SmartBridge partner together. I'm going to pass it over to Joanne, and she's going to take you through really the more detail on the ERP challenge that we talked about here, but then how together we can actually solve that. So Joanna, let me hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Matt. So we all talk about these common reporting challenges, but the underlying factor is the organization of data. And you know, if we look at these studies by IBM, Gartner, Computer World, Harvard Business Review, they've done studies on companies and how they organize data and the struggles that they have in organizing data. And you look at these statistics, and they're really quite staggering. 69% of the companies spend more time organizing data than analyzing it. And you know, we're in 2015. It just is staggering to me that this is still going on. Percentage of financial professionals who struggle to collect data from multiple sources. They're getting asked questions by a number of people within the organization, and they have to go, where is this data? Where is that data? And they have to go find it. So we need to address this data issue that we have. And what typically happens is that users will be given access to a business intelligence tool or some sort of a reporting tool. And what do? They go ask IT for the data. Well, they give them requirements and IT says, okay, and they go back and they say, here's the data that you asked for. And what happens is it goes back and forth and back and forth. And this goes on for quite some time, and there's a lot of lag time in between here. Going asking for requirements, asking for the data, IT gets the data, delivers it to the business in extracts and those types of things, and then they're able to report off of it. But then those requirements change and they need more information. So what they really need is an analytics platform. They need to have a structure in place where all this data resides in an organized format. So to have this analytics platform in place, what needs to happen? Well, we have to identify where is the data. What type of data do I need? Do I need sales data? Do I need customer data? Do I need receivable information? Do I need financial data? Do I need data from external sources, such as even on the web? Where is this data and how can I get it? Next, I need to extract that data. I need to extract the data from any particular data source and put it into this analytics platform. But before I do that, I need to enhance the data. So I need to make that data usable for the business person that's going to be doing the analysis and reporting on it. And what do I mean by that? Well, the data that resides in the ERP system and the underlying database structures is usually very cryptic, and especially in J.D. Edwards. So I've been around J.D. Edwards for almost 20 years, and you know, the table structures are cryptic, and the file names are cryptic, and the field names are cryptic, and even the way the data is stored. So we need to enhance that data. We need to put it into a business user's terms and be able to consume by the business user with the BI tool. The other thing that needs to happen in this analytics platform is that we need to organize the data. The data that exists and that resides in the ERP system is designed for data entry and validation and controls, but it's not designed to do high-speed data retrieval and analysis. Hence, we need to, when we extract that data, we need to optimize it so it is in a format for that high-speed retrieval and analysis, which is what the users are expecting. Last but not least, we need to update the data continuously. People today are not going to accept that the data is from yesterday. It's just unacceptable in today's day and age in Google-like environments that we live in. So we need to move the data continuously to give the users access to real-time or as near real-time information that they can get. So when you go to build or acquire or create this analytics platform, what do you have to consider? Well, what data is required? Where is that data that I need? Where is that customer data? Where's that financial data? We have to identify where that data is. Then we have to extract and enhance, just as I mentioned a few minutes ago. We need to make sure that that data is in a format for the business users. How do you architect the data model and optimize it for performance? How do you keep the data current? How do I move that data continuously? There's tricks and tips and very technical ways to do that. How do I rationalize data from multiple sources? You might have data in your ERP system, but you might have budget data from another system that you have to combine together. Well, there's some underlying common denominator. How do you do that? Okay, and make it available and easy for the business user to consume. What databases do you run it on? Do I run it on a traditional relational database such as an Oracle or a SQL Server, or am I going to an in-memory platform that's really optimized for speed because I have a lot of data? What BI tools do I use? Do we have one in place? And last but not least, how do you leverage your existing investments that you've already made within your organization without having to recreate the wheel? Once you've done that, once you've created this analytics platform, now you've empowered your users so that they can go and create their own reports. And there's not this reliance on IT anymore to get them the data that they're looking for. So we need to provide that platform to empower the user. Here's a study that's been done by Aberdeen Group, and I really like this. It looks a little confusing, but as we go through it, it's going to make a lot of sense. If you look at the left-hand side of this screen and the chart on the left, what we're trying to understand here is how do we correlate self-service business intelligence with a rapid return on investment? So the left-hand side identifies organizations that are either best-in-class, industry average, or laggards. Well, the best-in-class organizations that provided 52% of users with self-service, non-IT assisted access to BI had a 5-month return on investment to achieve their goals for their recent BI project. Alternatively, the organizations which are identified here as a laggard organization that only provided 19% of the users access to self-service BI took them over a year to get a return on investment on their BI project. So there's a lot of correlation here of providing self-service BI to the business and getting a faster return on investment with your BI projects. So where does that bring us? That brings us into the RapidDecision design choices. We have addressed all of these questions that come up here when you're deciding to build or implement an analytics platform. RapidDecision solution is a pre-built solution. We've extracted 100% of the data, pre-built extractions and mappings to enhance that data out of Data doing all of those things that need to be done so that the business user experience is better. It's a patented and proven architecture that's been implemented at hundreds of organizations around the globe. Continuously updating the data, moving the data in near real time so that the users aren't waiting until tomorrow to get the effect on something that's been entered in the system today. It's an open architected solution, meaning as your business needs grow, I can add more information in, I can add more data, and it's obviously scalable. So having this analytics platform, the RapidDecision solution, gives you the flexibility of being able to provide self-service BI independent of the BI tool that you choose for your user community. So underneath the covers, this is kind of a little bit of an architectural slide here. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, but just to give you an idea of what's happening underneath the covers, RapidDecision connects to those ERP sources, JD Edwards, other Oracle ERPs, PeopleSoft, and eBusiness with pre-built mappings to extract the data out and populate that data into what we call a repository. We're doing some minimal transformations from that first pass, changing the file and field names such as the FO101 to the address book master and the ABA&A to the address book number, etc. Once that data resides in the repository, then we're doing the heavy lifting, the real enhancement to the data to populate that data into our subject area data marts, like a general ledger or accounts payable or accounts receivable and sales, inventory. There's over 26 subject areas available today out of the box. Once that's in place, the BI tools, all of them, have what's called a metadata layer or a semantic layer. MicroStrategy calls it a project. Business Objects calls it a universe. IBM Cognos calls it a framework. So they all have different terminology for pretty much the same thing. It's the business rules around your data and to make it usable for the self-service BI. And then you've got some pre-built templates on top of that to give the users a good experience out of the gate so that they can trust the data with the tool that they choose, whether it's, like I said, it doesn't really matter on the front end. And today we're going to demonstrate for you both MicroStrategy and Business Objects and show you exactly the same data within each of those BI tools. So just to give you a little bit more flavor underneath the covers, if I wanted to just get information for a customer, I need a customer number, I need a name, I need an address, I need what region are they in. Look at all the places I have to go to get that data. A business user is not going to be able to do that. So that's part of what we've already done. All of this pre-built work to extract the data, put it into a usable format so the business user can simply say, there's my customer number, there's my address. Very simple and easy to use. That's what we're trying to do, is eliminate the complexity for the business user so that they can get on and do their self-service BI. As we get into the BI tools, different needs require a different experience. So executives have a different need versus a line of business person versus a business analyst. the executives, they want to do more strategic things. They want to do more predictive. A business analyst really wants to dive into the details underneath the covers. How can we do that? So the BI tools need to provide all of these users an experience that's going to satisfy their needs. So when we talk about business intelligence reporting and analytics, it's broken up into a number of categories, but everybody needs enterprise reporting. Everybody still needs reports. We all want to have those dashboards and visualizations so I can start to look at the data in a little bit of a different way. And we also want to be able to deliver this information anytime, anywhere, through any mobile device, whether it's your iPhone, your iPad, your tablet, whatever it may be. I want to be able to create one report, deliver it through my BI tool, or deliver it through my mobile device. So now I'm going to pass over control here back to Matt, and he's going to share with you MicroStrategy and show you some of the reports within MicroStrategy for RapidDecision. Okay, Matt, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Thank you. So what we have here is the MicroStrategy web user interface. We're actually going to show several things in web. We're going to show some things within the developer point of view from a desktop tool, and we're also going to show some things from the iPad as well, just to show you some of the flexibility with MicroStrategy. But first, as Joanne mentioned, these are projects within MicroStrategy. So we're going to go click into the RapidDecision project. Oops, once we log in. And so we're in the project. And at this point, we're going to go into shared reports. You have the ability to create your own reports as well as share them publicly. So within the shared reports, we have just some sample data marts. As Joanne mentioned, Datalytics has multiple data marts. We're going to actually drill into the GL reporting based on that data mart. And as you can see here, we have several different reports. We've got an income statement, we've got a summary income statement, year-to-date trial balances. We've got a dashboard that we're going to look at a little bit later. But let's go into the balance sheet with prior year actuals report. And so the first thing that you see in MicroStrategy is you're prompted, and that's the term in MicroStrategy, you're prompted to select different values that you want to actually kind of filter the results by. We're not going to change any of that here. We'll go back to that in a second, but let's just run the document in the kind of the standard default form. And so what you see here is a typical balance sheet report. We've developed it within MicroStrategy. It's a reporting services document, and we have all of the controls of formatting and everything with this. What I want to really go into now, though, is to talk a little bit about the components that are required to make up any of these reports, and really talk about sort of the nuts and bolts of how the Datalytics data model is exposed and enabled through MicroStrategy. And to do that, we're going to go into the developer tool. And so this is a desktop development tool that somebody typically in IT, although there's some power users in the business that will use this solution as well. But what we're looking at here is the metadata, as Joanne mentioned earlier. So we have all different things. We've got various objects, public and project related. We've got schema objects. And so let's go into the schema objects. And in MicroStrategy speak, schema objects are really all the building blocks for being able to develop a report. So you have this metadata layer that abstracts a lot of the, I guess, the tricky parts with connecting to the database and with establishing, hey, where does this particular data element come from? If we want to be able to drag a metric onto the canvas, well, we have to define that someplace. And so in MicroStrategy, you're building all of this within the schema objects. And so you can see we have attributes, we have facts, we've got functions, we've got hierarchies, we have lots of different things. So what I want to go into is on the attributes. And so within the attributes, just as you saw within MicroStrategy on the web, these are also segmented out by data mart. And so if we were to go into the GL data mart, you could see the different attributes that are there. And so here in J.D. Edwards speak, you've got the 902, you've got the 911, you've got a lot of different really attributes, which are, I guess, categorization of the information. But let's go and look at some of the fact data as well. So within the facts, these are really in business intelligence speak, facts are the actual results. And it's a row in a database that has a bunch of different columns. And in those columns, there are metrics that need to be calculated. And so you can kind of see within the facts, look at the 902 account balances. You can see all the various different period postings. So if you were to go into one of the facts, go in and edit that real quick, you can see that this is really where you're defining where within the actual data model this particular fact is coming from. And in this case, it's coming from a table in the data mart called GL star facts table. Okay, so that's really where you're building all of this abstraction that allows users to be more dynamic with what they're doing. Okay, so let's go back into one of the metrics and see kind of a little bit deeper where that is created. So he's looking at the dependent objects, and what you see here is you can actually see how this metric is defined. So a metric is really just some type of aggregation or calculation based on columns in the table. And in this case, we've got a simple sum that's being accomplished. And so that is really how you build all of these building blocks within MicroStrategy to be able to really drop them onto a canvas as you develop a report. And so let's go back over to the web, and we will kind of see, if you were to pull down the account description here, you can see that there's the ability to filter the results by assets, liabilities, and equity, or all of the above. And so, again, this is all handled within the creation of this document within MicroStrategy. So let's go and actually look at another report, and we're going to go back to the reporting or to list of reports, and we're going to go into the income statement. And again, we're prompted, and if we were to just select the defaults, you'd be able to see what the income statement would look like for 12 period. And so in this case, we've embedded both tabular information as well as graphical information to be able to really give the users what they want to see. This is a pretty typical income view of an income statement. And so what I wanted to do next is, Sailesh, if you can hand over control to me, and I will start presenting from the iPad. And what we see here is the iPad user interface within MicroStrategy. And so here, again, you have the same look at information as we had before. So in this case, we've got various different reports. And now I want to show kind of more of a dashboard versus a report. And so we're going to go into the P&L dashboard. And what this is we've got a couple different layouts, but you can see a lot of the same type of information coming from GL. So by GL account, you can kind of see expenses, and you can see the totaling and subtotaling, and we've got cost of goods sold, and we've got the gross profit as well. And so you've got all the controls and formatting capabilities. But I also want to show some interactivity. And so as I flip over to this other layout, we're going to kind of get more of a dashboard type of a look. And so in this case, we have, again, all of the different accounts that are broken out, but we have the ability to now select a particular account, and you can kind of see the top right and the bottom right changing. So we have the ability to, within one single view, the ability to kind of interact with our information at a much deeper level. And so that's capable because the Datalytics Data Mart, as Joanne mentioned, has really 100% of the information that is coming out of J.D. Edwards. And so I just wanted to give a real quick overview of what this looks like within MicroStrategy. But what I want to do now is hand it back over to Joanne, and she's going to show what this looks like within business objects, because the point is that the Datalytics Enterprise Data Warehouse really can be plugged into from whatever your enterprise BI tool is. So Joanne, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, so thanks, Matt. So here I'm showing you exactly the same information that Matt was showing you in MicroStrategy, but I'm just showing it to you in a different business intelligence tool. And here's some examples of some dashboards. Here's a general ledger dashboard here on the right-hand side, and I can filter it on current liabilities or current assets. I can look at end balances as opposed to postings. And I'll get into detail on that in just a minute. I can also look at the income statement here with some graphical information here to look at some trending analysis on sales, or if I want to look at cost of goods sold, overhead, right down the line, right down to my net income. And I can do that right here in the dashboard. If I select another tab within Business Objects, I can look at some of the pre-built report templates that we have out of the box. And Matt was sharing with you a balance sheet with prior year actuals. These numbers match exactly to what Matt had within MicroStrategy because the underlying source of that information is the RapidDecision data model. So we can see that right here. And what I'm going to share with you is the same thing that Matt was showing you, which is that metadata layer underneath the covers. So if I go in and look at the actual query that was used to generate this report, you'll see here on the left-hand side the actual folders. And we created some favorites folders to show you some more frequently used fields. But if I open up this folder called the GL Mart, you'll see that I have it broken down by company, by business unit, account, 902 balances, 911 balances, very similar, if not the same as what Matt was showing you. And I can go in here, and if I simply mouse over an object, it's telling me where the source of that information came from in JDE. So it came from the F0010, and it shows me what actual field it was. And then up here on the right-hand side, you can see the data elements of the objects that I decided to bring in for my query. And if I go ahead and run this, the same thing takes place here. Okay, I'm getting prompted for company and fiscal period and fiscal year as well, and I can go ahead and run that report and generate the results of that query. The other thing that I want to share with you here in Business Objects is not only just the general ledger with different reports. We have the same report here, the income statement, trend by business unit. So very, very similar information between what's being showed within MicroStrategy as well as here within Business Objects. The underlying commonality here is obviously the RapidDecision data model that's all pre-built, ready to go in a matter of a couple of weeks. So having done that, we're going to go back in here. And so what we've been able to share with you all today is really a complete business intelligence reporting and analytics solution that provides the capability or provides self-service to the users so that they can do enterprise reporting, they can do dashboards and ad hoc and drill down and see all that information on their mobile device that can be delivered very quickly. And it's all because we've organized the data ahead of time. You don't have to worry about the organization of the data. Here's a couple of case studies that we can talk about. Ushio is a J.D. Edwards shop. They're a RapidDecision customer, and they're MicroStrategy BI on the front end. And they had the situation of getting information across disparate systems and the same challenges that exist amongst a lot of organizations that we discussed early on. But really the benefits for them was delivering sales and product data on mobile devices, enabled the salespeople to cross-sell and upsell. So that's a real business benefit that they achieved by having RapidDecision and MicroStrategy deployed within Ushio. Another example is Homedics Corporation, which is J.D. Edwards and a business object shop. They had challenges identifying customer profitability and understanding who their best customer was. Your customer may be buying a lot of product from you, but are they paying you on time? You might have customers that are paying you 45 days out, and you're giving them great discounts. Well, why are you doing that? We need to understand those customers from not only the products that they're buying, how quickly are they paying us, and even returns on those products. So a couple of good case studies that combine J.D. Edwards, MicroStrategy, and as well as Business Objects. Here's a portfolio of the pre-built data marts that we have available today out of the box. Quite an extensive list. We pretty much cover the whole gamut of J.D. Edwards. So thank you all very much for attending today. I believe we have some questions that have come up on the board. Matt, I don't have access to that, so if you could read off some of those questions from the attendees today, we can address those now.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joanne. We've got a few here. So I guess first, the question here is, can you consolidate data from multiple or other systems?
So the answer to that is yes. The answer to that is yes. We have customers that have multiple instances of the same ERP, even if they are on different platforms and different versions. So that's just one example. But we also have customers that run multiple ERPs that they need to combine together. So we have situations where a customer is running JDE and maybe Oracle Business or PeopleSoft, and in some cases it's SAP as well. So we have the innate capability out of the box to be able to combine multiple sources together and still keep the integrity of the original source.
Okay. Next question here. I guess, how does your product compare to Oracle's OBIEE product?
Sure. There's some comparisons, but there's a lot of things that are very different philosophically, if you will. So for us, I mentioned earlier that we bring in 100% of the transactional data down to the lowest level of detail. That's one of the biggest differentiators between our solution and the OBIEE product. OBIEE has some pre-built analytics out of the box, look really, really cool and flashy. The challenges that we've heard is that they're not always defined for that particular customer. So what happens is a customer will say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't meet my definition of net sales or gross margin or whatever it may be. And so what they have to do is decompile that analytic. They have to see if all the data is there to calculate that. If not, they got to go back to the source system, map that data in and refresh it, and then recompile that analytic. Our philosophy is that we bring in 100% of the transactional data, so all of the data is there for you to create any analytic and any metric or KPI that's needed. And I think the last thing I want to bring up on that is the movement of data, the continuous movement of data. We move the data continuously as the transactions are occurring in the source system, and that's a big differentiator as well.
Okay. One more here. I guess this is a tactical one. Do you have a choice of database for the repository and the data marts?
Certainly. Most of our customers today, place their repository database either on an Oracle or a Microsoft SQL Server platform, but we are seeing right now a lot of movement towards the in-memory solutions out there, and that's primarily because there's a lot of big data, a lot of data, and they want very, very, very good performance. So we're seeing that happening a lot. But the target database really it matters to the customer and what their internal expertise is, and that's typically how they go as far as database platforms.
Okay. One other question here about upgrades. It says, please explain how RapidDecision protects me from upgrades.
Sure. So if you're on maintenance with RapidDecision, on maintenance we provide you with all the new mappings for that release. We go back to, actually I think it's 6.2 release of J.D. Edwards, and then some of the other ERPs of PeopleSoft and Oracle Business. So when you decide to upgrade, to the latest release of that particular ERP, of JD Edwards in this case, under maintenance, we will provide you all of the mappings and transformations, all the extractions for that particular release. It's an effort, but nowhere near the level of effort required for for an ERP upgrade. But it is a planned event, something that we'll want to do in a test dev environment, and then we can point to your old ERP as well as the old version of the ERP as well as the new version. And actually, we've found that a lot of customers that are on the the fence of, should I upgrade first or should I do BI first? One of the things that having BI implemented before you do your upgrade will actually help you validate the upgrade going forward. And the benefit to you is that you've also gotten your users onto business intelligence. So, by the time you do the upgrade, they're already using the reports. They're already, interacting with the BI tool, that they have confidence in the data and in the tool. Therefore, your user adoption level increases dramatically. So there's a great benefit of doing BI prior to doing an ERP upgrade.
Okay, another question came in here, and it's kind of actually came in from two different listeners, but related to the actual ETL side of things. So what is the core technology associated with your solution, so from an ETL perspective?
Sure. So our ETL technology is the SAP platform, the data integrator tool. We've standardized on that tool for the last 12 years. And then one of the key reasons is because all of the functions are pre-built into the SAP data integrator tool, as well as the real-time component. So when we call continuous data movement, the technology is referred to the CDC, or change data capture, in a single code base. There's no additional software you have to acquire to get that functionality. So if you want to have the continuous data movement, you need to have CDC deployed, and that process in and of itself is defined in the industry to have the minimum impact to your production system and your network. But other tools out in the marketplace today require an add-on, so an additional license purchase, if you will. So that's the reason that we standardized on that tool set today.
Okay. One last question. I think we've got time for one more here, and it's really a question of, since we presented something that looked seamless, between the data warehouse as well as the BI tools, the question is really, I'm trying to understand where RapidDecision ends and MicroStrategy or Business Object begins. The reports were listed in RapidDecision, but when I actually click on them, am I in MicroStrategy? So, Joanne, can you kind of show or talk through the lines of delineation between where RapidDecision solution stops and where the BI tool picks up?
Sure. So I'm going to actually go back to one of the slides here in the deck to kind of give you a view of that here. Okay. So if you look at this this layout or this diagram here, it's here from these ERP systems over here on the left-hand side, right to the end of this bar is the RapidDecision solution in and of itself. When we get to the BI metadata layer and the BI templates, that's where the BI tool connects to the data marts, which reside on a database server, whether it be Microsoft SQL or an in-memory platform. So the metadata layer is for the business intelligence tool that you're using, and then the BI templates are also, and the reports are also within that BI tool. I hope I answered.
And so I'll add a little bit there. The dashboards that Joanne showed within Business Objects, as well as the reports and the dashboard that I showed within MicroStrategy, as we engage with you on a project, any of those pre-built assets, will come along with the licensing of the data mart. Now, those reports in and of themselves may not cover 100% of the needs, and those actual reports or dashboards may also need to change a bit based on your business model, the way that your team likes to look at their information. And so I don't want it to sound like you're one and done with this, but the reality is from a data model perspective, it really is that easy. And then beyond that, what additional reports and dashboards you may want to have on top of the pre-built metadata, as well as the BI assets, that can all be defined as we kind of scope out a project on implementing one of these. But it truly is up to where she described in this diagram. That is really a pretty straightforward implementation, because they've done all the hard work behind the scenes. So that is all the questions we have here, and we actually are just at the 45 minutes that we said we would occupy. So I wanted to thank everyone for joining us. As you can see, Joanne, if you go back to the last slide, just as far as contact information, if you're interested in hearing more about what this might look like in your environment, please reach out to me. You've got my email and my cell phone number here. Happy to talk with you about those things. And then we'll also make this webcast available on our website as well. So if there are others within your organization that you'd like to share this with, we will be able to get that link out on our website here in the next day or two. So with that, we'll close the web conference, but thank you very much for attending.